But first, you'll need to pick a class. Now, early access will initially have 6 classes available. Let's have a look at them. The monk primarily uses the quarterstaff. There are 3 schools of martial arts: lightning, ice, and wind. There are 21 active skills for quarterstaves, so this just scratches the surface of the options that you have. If you want to go a little faster and be a little more defensive, equip a shield. In PoE 2, you can raise your shield at any time to block all damage from the front, even spells. Time for some ranged attacks. The ranger is primarily about the bow, but we wanted to make sure that she feels agile as well. In PoE 2, you can shoot while moving. Combined with all the skills the ranger has that allow you to jump around, you will have a lot of mobility in combat. You might have noticed in the bottom left of the screen that the flask slots look a little different. In PoE 2, you have 1 dedicated life flask slot and 1 mana flask slot. Flasks gain charges as you kill enemies, and typically allow you to heal 6 or 7 times if they're full. Charms are a new item type that will automatically defend you from various debuffs or damage types. Having trouble with getting frozen? Equip a thawing charm. When it's fully charged, it will make you immune to freeze for 3 seconds if you get frozen. To recharge them, just kill more monsters. All classes in Path of Exile 2 can be controlled with WASD, which makes this class play exactly like a shooter. For the crossbow, you will find skills that work like shotguns, sniper rifles, assault rifles, and even grenade launchers. If you're looking to take a backseat and let your minions do the work, then the witch should be your choice. She can call forth hordes of undead monsters to fight for her, while casting powerful chaos spells that debilitate her enemies. Before we talk about minions, we'll have to talk about a new resource in Path of Exile 2 called Spirit. This is a spirit gem, which allows you to pick from a range of persistent skills. All classes have a variety of these skills which can add some very interesting effects, like Arctic Armor, which does cold damage to enemies that hit you, or Raging Spirits, which summon fiery skulls each time you cast a fire spell. If you want a bigger army, you'll need a Scepter. This new weapon type is imbued with even more spirit, allowing you to summon even more friends. There are 25 active occult skills. By the endgame, you'll be the leader of a fearsome army of the dead, consuming everything in its path. The sorceress bends the elements to her will, using them to unleash devastation on her foes. This classic spellcaster weaves a flurry of elemental magic from afar. Each spell is unique and has many different ways to build and combo with others, even between different elements. For example, Flame Wall conjures a burning line that not only damages enemies, but also empowers all projectiles that pass through it. If you place a wall and fire lightning sparks through it, they'll gain extra fire damage. It's a good idea to take advantage of the ability to automatically swap weapons when you use certain skills. Having a special staff with bonuses to fire skills and another with bonuses to lightning skills can really power up a combo like this. Now, those are the characters that will be available at the start of early access, but we will be adding 6 more character classes with just as many skills and options as these. There's one more important thing to mention about skills. Even though we talk about them as belong to each class, in reality there are no restrictions. You can use all these skills on any class so long as you have the attributes. So let's talk about support gems. Path of Exile 2 has a system of support gems that can be combined with your active skills to dramatically change the way they work. If you find a support gem, then right-clicking it will open up this screen. Here you will find a variety of recommended support gems for each of your skills that you can pick between. Note that you can only have one of each support gem on your character, so you'll want to think carefully about which supports can be used best with each skill for maximum damage. Now, if you want to stick to the recommendations, you should have a perfectly good time, but if you want to experiment a bit more, then uncheck that recommended button and you can see the full list of supports that will work with your skill. So, speaking of builds, let's talk about one of the most iconic Path of Exile systems, the passive skill tree. Yes, it's huge. There are over 1,500 nodes on there. Now, a lot of people open the tree and can get a little intimidated at first, but try not to be scared. There are lots of options, but at its core, it's pretty simple. In order to get between these clusters, you will generally have to allocate nodes in the attribute highways. Attribute nodes allow you to pick which attribute you would like to use, so it's very easy to get points for any attribute that your gear might need. You can change which attribute these nodes give you for half price at the respec vendor. As we showed you earlier on the Sorceress, you can swap between weapon sets on the fly as you use certain skills. One of the new features in Path of Exile 2's passive tree is that you can choose to have your passive tree change as you switch between weapon sets to take advantage of specific bonuses on the tree. Or perhaps you could have a full curse setup on your witch to debuff enemies before switching to a chaos degen build for maximum damage. You can get weapon specialization points throughout the campaign from optional bosses and quests. For example, if I manage to defeat the Crowbell, I'll get a weapon specialization book. There are lots of other permanent boosts available from the campaign too. One of the most important finds are spirit bonuses. You can find the first one here in the canopy in Act 1. Defeat the boss in this area to acquire a permanent addition of spirit. The permanent buffs you gain from spirit are very powerful, and every class will find a use for them, so make sure you hunt down these upgrades. There's one in each act. Now, we haven't even talked about the most important element of character progression, items. That's why we're all here, right? One of the things you're going to want to do as you play through the campaign is upgrade the items you find, and you can do that with currency items. We want you to find things on the ground that can be crafted into upgrades much more frequently. If you find socketed items that you don't have a use for, you can take them to the salvage bench in town to work towards an artificer's orb. This will allow you to add sockets to your existing items. Body armors and two-hand weapons can have up to 2 sockets, while the rest of your armor and one-hand weapons can only have 1 socket. You can also salvage items with quality to create items like armor scraps or whetstones. These will allow you to increase the quality of your items for an up to 20% boost. Other vendors offer a gamble. Pay a flat amount of gold and you'll get a random item of a specific type. This could be a great way to improve your gear, if you're lucky. The other thing you might want to use gold for is the currency exchange. This allows you to exchange currency items with other players on an open market, in exchange for a small gold fee. The last character progression system that you can do during the campaign is Ascension. Starting in Act 2, you will come across Ascension trials, tests that you must complete to unlock your Ascension class. Each class has access to 3 Ascendancy classes, but at the start of Early Access, only 2 per class will be available. Ascendancy classes are unique to each character class, so choose wisely. They can drastically affect how you build your character. As a sorceress, you could become a Stormweaver, a master of the elements. Alternatively, you could become a Chronomancer and command time itself. On the warrior, you can choose between the Warbringer or the Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power. The Titan class is all about hitting big. As a ranger, you might choose to be a Deadeye, an expert markswoman who can take down foes with style. Alternatively, you could become a Pathfinder, the master of flasks and poison. The Witch can ascend into the Infernalist or the Blood Mage. With Pyromantic Pact, you can turn your mana into Infernal Flame. As you cast more spells, the flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage. She can also transform into a literal demon. While in demon form, she takes an increasing amount of damage, but her cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well. She can also become a Blood Mage, a master of life and energy. All Blood Mages must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana, but in exchange, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life. A monk who is in tune with the elements might become an Invoker. With Elemental Expression, the Invoker will create waves of elemental power each time he does a critical strike. Some monks choose to reach into the darkness instead. The Acolyte of Chayula can exchange their mastery of spirit for darkness, a resource that can be utilized to both absorb and deal damage. The Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming, but if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Another node you can take is Waking Dream, which allows you to see into the domain of the Breach Demons. There you will see the Flames of Chayula that can be taken to gain life, mana, and damage. The Mercenary has a job to do, but which job suits you? With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to explode on death. The chance is doubled against demons and undead. With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage, if you're lucky. This is great for hunting powerful bosses. You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh. Integrated Efficiency will give you extra skill slots. Thermatological Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you sock up more and more support gems. Ascension in Path of Exile 2 requires completion of one of the Great Trials, which you'll find as you progress through the campaign. Each one is associated with one of the major cultures of Rayclast. All aspirants must complete the Trial of the Sekimers, a grueling gauntlet that will test their strength, will, cunning, and patience. To enter, a warrior of the Maraketh must prove their worth by trapping the soul of a djinn in a coin, and you are no different. In the Trial of the Seconders, each room has its own challenges to overcome. While fighting monsters in the trial, you will need to be very careful. Each hit will not only hurt you, but will damage your honor. The monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks, but if you run out of honor, you will fail the trial and need to find another coin in order to try again. After each room, you will be rewarded. In this case, you have been given a key that can be used to unlock chests later in the trial. As you progress, you'll be able to gain boons from the Jinn, which will help you on your journey. For example, the Sekima's cloak will revive you once if you die, giving you a second shot at a run. At the end of the floor, you'll find a powerful boss which will truly test your limitations. In order to ascend, you will need to defeat him. In Path of Exile 2, you can choose whichever trial you like to earn your ascension. Each culture on Rayclast had their own methods to ascend. If the Trial of the Sekimas is not your kind of playstyle, or you're finding it too difficult, you could try another. You can gain all your ascension points from just one, or mix and match them. It's up to you. For early access, we will have 2 trials as options, with a 3rd trial coming later for the full release. Many have attempted these trials in search of greatness. Most have perished. Will you be able to defy the odds? There are many types of chambers in the trial. Each will test your resolve in different ways. This one simply requires you survive for a certain amount of time. Another requires you to escort the stone idol through the level as elevators full of monsters descend to attack you. Should you be able to get through the first 3 chambers, you will face your first boss. After defeating the boss, you may claim your rewards. Of course there are the items, but you also gain the right to ascend. If you already did the Trial of the Sekimas, then you can claim 2 more points to add to your ascendancy class. So how about we talk about that now? The first 3 acts of PoE 2 already take around 25 hours to complete if you're a new player. This is already a pretty significant campaign. On the other hand, people spend hundreds of hours in Endgame. At the start of early access, there will be 50 bosses and around 400 monster types. But the great thing is that the rest of the game is like 80% there. We'll be adding content to roughly double the size of the game during early access and into release. Now, in order to make the endgame happen at the same character level as what it would be after we added the rest of the acts, we've added a second difficulty level called Cruel, where you repeat the campaign with all the monsters and bosses leveled up. And of course, new rewards. Once we add the remaining 3 acts, we'll be removing Cruel difficulty, so you'll progress straight from the end of Act 6 to Endgame. But what is the Endgame? To explain that, I'll hand over to Mark. He can tell you all about it.
This is the Atlas, and it serves as the core of the endgame for Path of Exile 2. It's infinite and expands in all directions. To go to an area, simply click one that is adjacent to an area that you have already completed. Insert the waystone and click Traverse. In order to cleanse the corruption from the area, you will need to defeat all the powerful rare and unique enemies in it. Once you have done that, the area will be marked as completed and you will be able to travel past it to progress deeper into the world. If you die, then the map can no longer be run, and you will have to find another way around to get to the areas behind it. As you explore the endgame world map, you'll notice various different biomes, from snow-capped mountains to dense jungle valleys. Most maps are restricted to certain biomes. As you continue to explore deeper into the Atlas, there are all sorts of things to discover. These cities are constructed by different peoples of Rayclast, and have specific items that can be found there. These strange structures marked on the map don't appear to do anything for now. Perhaps you'll work out how to use them later. In addition, you can find special areas that would make a good spot to set up camp. A great tool for exploration are towers. These mysterious precursor constructs are dotted around the Atlas. Completing the tower will reveal a large area around it, allowing you to scout out your next challenge. You may have noticed while looking at the Atlas that some of the areas have these icons above them. The icon indicates that the area contains some kind of special encounter. For each different type of content in the endgame, we are adding specialized trees in order to make it so you don't feel the need to respec your points when you change between different types of content. We will be showing you 7 of these by the end of this presentation, so there is still a lot more to come. One of the rewards that you may find while fighting monsters from Breach are tablets. Tablets are special items that can be used with precursor towers to add more encounters to the Atlas. Breaches will drop breach tablets. Clicking on a completed tower will allow you to consume the tablet to add more breaches to areas within range of the tower. This makes all the content in the Atlas self-sustaining. In addition, like all items in PoE, you can craft them. Tablets can have up to 2 mods. These mods do things like adding extra rare monsters, extra clasped hands, or even monster density of breaches, allowing you to keep them open longer. Often you will find multiple towers near to each other with overlapping areas of effect. This can allow you to really juice the mechanic by stacking the mods from multiple tablets. Ritual altars are sacrificial sites built by the mysterious King in the Mists. One of the rewards you can buy with tribute are omens. These are special items that allow for metacrafting. Some maps have been touched by insanity. A mysterious entity has taken a special interest in you. Step through the looking glass and you will find your nightmares coming to life. Rare and unique enemies will become vessels for terrifying demons, who will manifest out of them to unleash powerful attacks on you. The Mist also offers a strange crafting material, distilled emotions. By combining these emotions, you are able to instill your amulet with a notable from the passive skill tree. Next up, we have Expedition. You can also find Remnants, the destruction of which will further anger the restless dead. Each one you blow up will make the subsequent monsters more powerful, but also more rewarding. So those are the endgame systems on the Atlas, but we are not done yet. The trials we talked about earlier have much more content when you get to Endgame 2. Just like the other endgame systems, they also have progression mechanics, unique rewards, and player power that can only be gained from them. As you get higher level coins for the Trial of the Sycamores, you will unlock more floors to explore. Each floor has its own challenging rooms, and a floor boss that you will need to kill. The Trial of the Sycamores is where you'll find jewels, which you can socket into your tree. These are like passives that you can craft with your currency items. They can be really powerful as they allow you to stack modifiers that may not be easily accessible on the tree normally. In order to push further into the trial and uncover the secrets of the Maraketh, you will want to take advantage of its progression system, relics. Relics are items that can be placed in the relic altar as you start the trial. They give special bonuses that affect the trial, making it easier and increasing its rewards. Of course, you can craft these with your currency items, making them even stronger. The Trial Master will also occasionally offer you soul cores. Originally formed by Chaos, the Vaal sought to replicate soul cores through human sacrifice rituals and blood magic to power their civilization. Soul cores are powerful socketable items, with mods that cannot be obtained from regular runes. Had enough yet? Because there is still just one more thing. The most difficult content in Path of Exile 2. While mapping, you might come across this fortress that has emerged from underground, surrounded by an enormous maze riddled with danger. Each faction is led by an Uber-Act boss. You can see one of them inhabiting the city, but in order to fight him, you will first need to defeat their 2 lieutenants in the adjacent zones. Be careful. If you fail against either of the lieutenants, or to kill the leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again. Kill all the Uber bosses and you will gain access to the fortress.
Well, during early access you'll need a key to get in. To thank our existing PoE supporters who have spent more than $480, we'll be giving you guys a key for the PC version for free. Anyone else who wants one can get one by purchasing one of the new early access supporter packs that have just been released to the store. If you just want early access to PoE 2, then you can get a key in the $30 early access pack. The pack also comes with $30 of points to spend in the MTX store. These supporter packs will be available for purchase throughout early access. We'd really like to thank you for your ongoing support. Without you guys, Path of Exile 2 could not have happened.